Hello, Namaskar, and welcome to Sikkim Chronicle. Well, on 13th of September, the Union Minister Kiran Rijiju released a book called The Ballad of Bhaichung Bhutia, which has been penned by Mr. Lenny Lefevre and illustrated by Chewang Rinchen Lepcha. This is a book which beautifully sums up a journey of the football maestro Bhaichung Bhutia. We'll be having a very in-depth conversation with two gentlemen with me right now here, Mr. Lenny and Mr. Chewang. Welcome, and let's start the conversation. Mr. Lenny, first and foremost, what triggered an idea to come up with this, the Ballad of Bhaichung Bhutia?
First of all, Nirmal, thanks for having us on Sikkim Chronicles. It's a big honor to be here. And I could actually go back to an exact timeline as to how this book came about. I remember reading about Bhaichung playing his farewell match on January 10th, 2012 against Bayern Munich. And a week later, I was in Darjeeling. It was winter, cold, nothing to do. So I sat at my computer and started to recollect my memories of the great man, the living legend. And I started banging out something on the keys. And what eventually turned out to be the Ballad of Bhaichung Bhutia. And the surprising part, it was almost like an epiphany, kind of an anointing that took place, where I didn't even have to think about rhyming words and stuff. Yeah. And then I posted it on Facebook, I think around January 19, 2012. So that's where it actually started. And then it was on the back burner. We kind of forgot about it. And much later, when Echo Stream, I was sitting in their studio, when I think Sonam and Tenzing Ninze, we got together and they said, so why don't we illustrate this book, illustrate the ballad and take it out as a book. And then Chewang had just returned from NID, and we turned to Chewang, and he was entrusted with the job of illustrating this book.
So as far as I know, I mean, you shared a very good, rapport with Mr. Bhaichung Bhutia since his school days, as you were one of his teachers, right? So how do you remember this journey with Bhaichung, as of it's been so many years?
Yeah, I think Bhaichung and I, and also the other scholars who had come from the Sports Authority of India, we were particularly close. Because what would happen was, I was not just a biology teacher, I was also the hostel in charge, the dorm in charge. And what would happen is on weekends, long holidays, when the rest of the hostelers would go home, they had too far to travel. So they would stay back in the dorms and I would spend time with them. So we built up a kind of a rapport, a kind of a mutual respect. And in those days, I was still very, very young, still fresh in my work and learning the ropes. And it was just a fantastic experience to be around these boys. And Bhaichung in particular, because he had this tremendous amount of nervous energy and never shirked from a challenge, was up for anything. There's this one incident, I remember watching a cricket match where Dave Houghton was playing for Zimbabwe, and he had hit the ball towards the boundary, and Martin Crowe from New Zealand ran backwards with the ball coming over his shoulder, dived full length and clutched a marvelous catch. And we were watching this together in the audiovisual room, and I was screaming great catch, great catch. And then Bhaichung was by my side. He said what's so great about that catch? So it was kind of a challenge. So I said, okay, let's go to the ground and see if you can take a catch with the ball coming from over behind your shoulder. So it was late that evening. So next morning we went up to the ground and I hit the ball. And he ran backwards, dived on the sand, picked up the ball, clean catch, did his cartwheels, somersaults, yelped for joy. So that's the kind of kid he was.
I'm sure there are so many anecdotes and beautiful memories to share. We'll come back to you, Mr. Lenny. Let me talk with you, Chewang. I mean, you have illustrated, the book. So you are a senior communication designer in EcoStream now. So what does it mean to illustrate a book which in fact has been written by, an alma mater, for alma mater by a teacher of the same school? What does it mean?
Well, first, I share a very good connection with Sir Lenny, and when this content was brought to me, it was. I mean, the moment I read it, it was beautiful. So, just like how easy it was for Sir to pen it down, it was easy for me to sort of translate that into visual form as well, because it was written so beautifully. And also it's special because again Sir has written it, so for me to illustrate that would be, yeah, I mean in a way it is a thank you in that sense, because Sir has really looked after me and really taken care of me during my formative years in DNA. And also it is special because it is Bhaichung Bhutia, so we all look up to him, and he's the perfect example because he's also lived in the hostel and I've also lived in the hostel, and I've kind of experienced the same journey that he's experienced. And so given the sort of the obstacles and the challenges that he had, and he overcame all that and went ahead and became a legend, is I mean, I'm lucky that I got this opportunity. In that
So
sense.
you mean to say it was not that difficult for you to jot down, like, you know?
No, it
the
wasn't.
creativity?
It wasn't. It was quite easy in that sense. The only challenging part was to sort of take it to the final stage. But the images were there immediately in my head. So it took some time, but yes, the images were already there because there was so much in my head itself, because I had also lived the same journey. So I wanted to put everything inside. So therefore it kind of took time, and in that sense Sir also had the patience to sort of wait for it, because it did take quite a bit of time actually. So
Did you ever had an interaction with Bhaichung during school days?
we did, but I mean, we were too small and Bhaichung was too big at the time, so, and everybody wanted to sort of talk to him, and so it was just all sort of mixed up in that sense. So but I did sort of interact with him a little bit. We took autographs, took photographs like anybody else, like everybody else, and yeah, so small interactions we had during school. So
All right. So do you think, like, you know, you have to sum up all the memories which you share with Bhaichung in this book?
I think it pretty much moves from his childhood till his date where he decided to hang up his boots. So we kind of encapsulated that in a very, very brief kind of a way. But I think the story of a superstar would never really be able to fit into a single book, let alone a ballad. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff obviously left out, like the stats of the things he did. But I'm pretty happy with the final outcome, like, because I think I would like to dwell more on the human aspect of Bhaichung, like Bhaichung the person, while still having certain references to his footballing career. Yeah, and throughout the book, I think you'd find the human values which have been highlighted in a different color. Yeah, like how well-mannered he was. Never forgot to say thank you and please. Always wished his teachers. Was the first to apologize when he did something wrong. And just his general care and affection for not just the elders and the seniors and his peers, but also for the plants and the animals and stuff. So there's a lesson, I think, beyond footballing for all of us in this book. Apart from, of course, the inspiration that he is to me as a person, and of course to, I suppose, millions of sportsmen across India.
Right. This book also contains, like, you know, photographs of the letters, like, you know, you have had with Bhaichung.
Yeah.
The communication mode was through letters when he was in Kolkata. So, which clearly reflects that you were always there behind him through thick and thin. I mean, like, you know, tell us about the letter story.
I think somewhere down the line, these letters will be dated, I think, 92, 93, up to about 95. But there was something about Bhaichung when he moved on to Calcutta. Something told me that this guy is going to move on to greatness. And maybe preserve these letters. Because, I mean, people write letters and then they kind of read them and then chuck them in the dustbin or something. But these are letters which were very precious, still are very precious to me. And I preserve them. And I'm so glad and fortunate that EcoStream and the people who were designing this book found a space in which we could actually show these letters to the rest of the people. Yeah.
So, do you think Chewang has really justified with the illustrations? in bringing your thought process in this illustration?
I think he's gone beyond all barriers. Like, I think it's what people say about Equestream and the exceptional designers they have up there. Yeah, they just exceed all expectations. Yeah, I'm grateful to Chewang. I'm grateful that I got to teach him as a student, to look after him for a full year, yeah, when he was away from the hostel. So we go back a long, long time. And I'm so glad that it is Chewang who's eventually done the illustrations and not somebody else.
So one of the challenges for the writers is to find a good publishers, right? So I'm sure this was self-published book. So can you tell us what were the challenges you went through in terms of scouting for the publishers? And
well, we sat together for a discussion and then tried to see what all sort of directions we should take. So yes, definitely we did approach to a lot of publishers, but most of them sort of turned us down.
why?
Either we were not fitting into the genre, and they thought the genre was way smaller, and we thought it was otherwise, because the story of Bhaichung is really, really big, and I think it should be heard all across the country. I mean, he's not just big here. I mean, he's big in Nepal, in Bhutan, right? So Bangladesh. So we really believed that this should go to every corner of our country, because especially in the Himalayas, where we have a different set of challenges, and to come from there, and what Ayya Bhaichung has shown us is something that everybody should sort of look into and really get inspired and motivated, because that's important. So, and we also believe that it should go to the rest of the Northeast and everywhere else, basically, especially the rural people, because Ayya Bhaichung has started from there. So it kind of gives us that hope, that dream to really go and achieve greatness like Ayya Bhaichung. So so we applied to a couple of places, but everybody turned us down. So then we sat with one final discussion wherein we decided we'll self-publish it. I think the story is really powerful, and I think we can do it. So with that belief, we took it forward, and now we have the book in front of us, and we hope that people will respond positively, and we hope that we'll have a second edition of printing and third edition of printing. We are also hoping that at some point we can go into a sort of a edition where it will be way cheaper, so that it can go to every sort of rural areas. Everybody can afford it and read the story, which is the most important, and hopefully inspire them to greatness.
So these books tell us about the evolvement of Bhaichung as a kid, as a schoolgoer, as a footballer, and making his name and identity in the football conclave. So do you think somehow we as a Sikkimis has failed to celebrate his achievements, and this book will really help, especially for the children, for the posterity, to understand Bhaichung Bhutia in more better way?
I think here, not just in Sikkim, I think in India, it's just we forget our stars. We put them up on a pedestal when they're doing really well, and then when they're kind of away from the game or away from the limelight, they're just forgotten. Yeah, so Bhaichung is not really forgotten. I think he appears, in commentary boxes and as an expert commentator and stuff. But my fear really would have been that he fades from everybody's memories before we actually recognize him for his ultimate greatness. I was just scouting around the net, and I discovered that for a game played for the benefit of the victims in the Haiti, there was a match organized, a fundraising match, and he had shared the dressing room with the all-time greats like Zidane and Kaká and Terriori. I think Luis Figo was on the same side, Dani Alves, Robert Perez. So he's rubbed shoulders, he shared this dressing room with these absolute greats of the game. So it's kind of lest we forget kind of thing here. And I think we need to honor not just Bhaichung, but perhaps all our stars who have played. And here in Sikkim, I can think immediately also of Pimdoji, who I've seen playing live as a child.
So do you think this book would help somehow, like in promoting the rural sports in the state of Sikkim?
Absolutely, I feel it will. It would. I mean, the story of Bhaichung itself is massive, so everybody can relate to that, and his struggles and his challenges needs to be needs to be there, and I think the book helps him doing that. Because we only see the end product. We only see Bhaichung for who he is right now, without forgetting what he's gone through. So I think the current and the younger generation needs to know what he's gone through, the struggles that he's had, and what he overcame to sort of achieve what he's achieved, and also to dream like him, to go forward, not just in football but in any other sports or in any other department, to really struggle and work hard and achieve what you dream for. So yeah, definitely the story is big enough for any sort of any person, not just rural, any person in the Northeast, in the entire country, to sort of take inspiration and really go for your dreams. Yeah, we believe that. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Lenny, as we wind up this conversation, what do you have to say to the people who really are much more interested in life of Bhaichung Bhutia, or the fan base, or to the people of Sikkim, when it comes to this book?
First of all, I hope that they find inspiration and motivation by reading the story of Bhaichung. And the other aspect would be also to look at the illustrations done by Chewang and see the kind of effort which has gone in there, and maybe look at what Chewang is doing and what the people in EcoStream also are doing in terms of creativity, in terms of producing books. And yeah, that would be my message. And just one last thing I would like to add is when we do sell this book and we make enough money, we're going to put aside a chunk of that money to put back into development of sports in rural areas. Not just football, it could be archery, it could be boxing, it could be taekwondo. Wherever we find skilled sportsmen in need of support, I think we'll have some sort of a support base for them in future. Thank you.
Right. And Chewang, where can we get this book? in Gangtok or in Sikkim or any online platform where we can buy the book?
Right now, we've placed it at Rachna, so the books are available at Rachna. We've kept few copies here and there all around FG Mark and Gangtok area for display purposes. So if you would like to just have a view of the book and before deciding whether you should buy it or not, you can go through it and stuff like that. So it is available at coffee shop. It's available at Sikkimese store. It's also available at downtown and a couple of other places, Selvi's. So and one available at Cafe Royal. So for sale, it is at Rachna, and we're also looking at exploring into sort of putting it online so that everybody can access it. So that is in the pipeline. So we still haven't sort of really gone forward with that, but that is definitely something that we would be looking into.
Right, absolutely. So what we can sum up is this is a beautiful story about a teacher and an alma mater who has given this tribute in the form of illustrations and content to their beloved Bhaichung Bhutia. So please buy the copy so that Bhaichung Bhutia could be celebrated and his achievement could be treasured for the posterity. Thank you so much for watching, and for more details you can log into our website www.thesikkimchronicle.com. With camera person Ashish Gurung, this is Nirmal reporting for Sikkim Chronicle.